last time.
35.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good evening and welcome to Starbuck City Council regular council meeting for October 15th. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You'd call a roll, please, Joan?
Mayor Swenson.
Here.
Counselor Gorder.
Here.
Counselor Tafe.
Here.
Counselor Bacco. Here. Counselor Christensen. Not here.
All right. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda, claims for payment, and approve the minutes from the previous council meeting and special meeting. And I don't know if we have any comments or questions or.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
And do we have to add this or not?
Well, Doug was going to talk about, it's in your packet already, but Doug was gonna talk about the skid loader or skid unit for the fire trucks, but he's not here right now, so.
Okay, okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Gorder to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Councilman Tafe. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Our first item on the agenda is a public hearing considering vacating a dedicated right-of-way on Block 59 between 117 East Fifth Street and East Depot Lane for construction of the Starbuck locker plant. I know, Matthias, if you wanted to say anything, or,
Yeah. I don't got much more to say or add or anything. One thing I do want to mention after some discussion last time, first of all, I did not know, I was talking with Randy and he said that, I could use it and stuff like that and for parking and having stuff placed there and whatnot. And he even said, like, if there was ever an idea to do cement pavement or something like that, I could bring that forth and just ideas, stuff like that. So that was, I just kind of more so figured I wouldn't be able to use it. So that was kind of a little bit enlightening for me. Other than that, yeah, like I mentioned last time, just the fact that when I was right away when I asked about it and was told to get it surveyed, that's what I got it surveyed for. And that was my money into that and stuff like that. So that was kind of my little bit of frustration with, maybe some, non-agreement or whatever. But other than that, yeah, I will definitely interested to
we're
hear
not
what you have to say.
positive yet that we might have to survey it again, or the city might have to survey it, but we'll have to make that determination and
Yep.
stuff, so. But, yeah. So at this point, are you okay with just vacating the right-of-way for now?
Up to the telephone poles.
Up to, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And so, is the telephone pole the line, or what exactly
It'll
is
be-
it?
Can you see that?
And that's what would need to be surveyed, but roughly where the telephone
dark
poles.
area? Yeah.
Yeah, no, as long as it's up to that telephone pole, at least, I'm good with that. Or hopefully, I guess, for the new construction and stuff, that's kind of our building holdup is, obviously, we can't get too close to them telephone poles and stuff like that, so. But we've got plans and stuff like that drawn up, and we've got it set in place to where, as we're thinking to put it, which is about 5 to 8 feet from that telephone pole, so that would do it.
Okay. I don't know if there's any public comments or anything. If not, we'll close the public hearing, so.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Matthias.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you
you.
guys.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Rick Serra from West Central Initiative, so.
Thank
Good
you,
evening.
thank you, Mayor, and hello, everybody.
Oh,
He's back,
he's back.
he's back. Thank you for having us, thank you for your support. I kind of like to run through the packets I handed out. I'm just going to run through briefly because it's, I think last year I came here, it's a lot of the same materials, except there's different stories. On the left-hand side, there's a new sheet that just came out a couple weeks ago that, more of a snapshot, this West Central Initiative snapshot of our work. In the back of it, it has kind of all of our type of activities we're doing. So this is kind of a overall view of our work. Some numbers here and some of the local funds we manage. That's on that first page on the left. And then our annual review, if you haven't seen this, there's a few stories, and there might be one even about this area, so, but I won't, yeah, it's kind of good reading, there's some good things in here, and a lot of numbers. Of course, as a economic development organization, community development, philanthropy organization, we do a lot of work with numbers, obviously. I'm not good with numbers, so I try to do more storytelling. On the right-hand side, some of our programs, the Rural Democracy Program has gotten a lot of attention lately. It was started due to research. That research was showing that with our smaller populations in our counties, there was more stress on people to step up and either be a part of a nonprofit or run for office in city council, soil and water districts, school boards, those sort of organizations that make our economy run. And there was a lot of stress. So 1 in 7 in Traverse County have to step up from the public to serve. 1 in 8 and 1 in 9, so you go to our 9-county region, it gets about 1 in 12 is about the least. Twin Cities, of course, some of those counties are 1 in 250. So it's a lot of stress, more stress on this area. So that's why we kind of started looking at we call it democracy, but I always think it's kind of like volunteer and participation in city governments and your community. So we're talking about, when we talk about nonprofits, the Lions clubs, and I know my Kiwanis clubs, it's like, where are the people who's stepping up and volunteering and getting involved in the community? So we're trying to work on that issue. We have our climate action plan flyer here, and some of that is because there's a lot of economic activity around some climate resiliency work, and for some communities it might be work on when we get the rain is more big deluge. I think I pronounced that deluge. More rain, and these weather events are more intense, and how do we prepare for that? So some of that is in our work with the Climate Action Plan, and then there's pots of money that are come down the pike either through private foundations or federal government, state government, that we want to be ready to be to have our be ready to handle some of those grants or matching grants or some of that funding that comes down the pike. So that's in our action. Of course, then the other sheet here is our loan program for small business loans, gap financing. And you can see that's kind of, there's some like a child care loan fund. There's different funds within this that we use for economic development work in our 9 counties. This was a Start a Ripple, was a campaign we've been running to build awareness of West Central Initiative. You can look at that and some of the activities there. And I always like this. I think this has been around for a couple of years, this little booklet here. It says Regional Development Organization. And I like that little map in the first page where it shows the economic regional development organizations and the Minnesota Initiative Foundations. And the interesting thing about this, in my experience, is the regional development organizations, you can see in Duluth, Bemidji, Mankato, Wilmer, those organizations can levy tax dollars to support their work. They're given authority to do that, and we can't because we're a nonprofit. So we can't levy, and we don't want to levy dollars. So we do appreciate your support, and when these requests go out for any kind of donation, so we say it's a donation to a 501c3, as we are designated, and we appreciate the support from our communities in the region. And even this year, there's been some communities that step up for just some of the smallest communities in our region are just showing, $50 donation from the city, because the more cities that support us, I think it's a better narrative to look for other funding through other sources. I will tell you that one other thing, I have some numbers here of some funding reports from 2020, January 1st, 2020 to October 9th of this month. These are the latest, and some of the funding requests are over $369,000, and that includes the community funds. Without the community funds, $357,000. And just this week, there's been 2 grants given out to organizations, companies in Starbuck to the tune of $50,000 each through the Promise grants through the state of Minnesota. So we act as a intermediary for some of this funding, and that's because we're more hands in the ground, more local, and we kind of help coordinate, put that out, publicize it, got grants, and the state kind of makes the decision, but we help distribute that money, and there was $100,000 in your community this week. Checks might still be in the mail. They said, I think they went in the mail yesterday. But and I think that'll be, I'm not at liberty to tell who or what, because that announcement will be made by the state in a separate, in the coming weeks or weeks. But they said it was all right just to say, hey, that money's been distributed. And of course, we've done a lot of other work on that sort of things. Even your community fund, your local community fund, there was some money for your signs and things like that. So we really appreciate getting that thing up and running. And so just an update. I want to leave. I'll take any questions. I might sit and listen, because I sometimes take notes during the city council meetings. And then I also want to give Joan. This is, and the rest of you, this is a new flyer that came out this week too. I'm like surprised, what's this? And it's more about solar for your farm, small business, home, don't know where to start. So I've got 3 of these, and somebody might, be interested in that. And I'll just leave them with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
apparently we didn't print enough to hand them out liberally, I guess. So they said, take 3, and so I took 3 up to Lake Park, was the city I visited with last night.
Yeah.
So, appreciate it. Thank you much. I love Starbuck. I went over and had a hamburger at the corner pub over there.
Oh, yeah.
So I always say I want to drop economic development activity in the towns I visit. And I had a Coke, no beer.
Well, we appreciate all the hard work you do too, Rick.
Yeah, and keep the conversation going. I was telling Steve, I said, there's communities that engage with us, and I think we both get more out of those activities and more conversations, and sometimes just the conversation or exploring ideas is worth the time and worth a cup of coffee to see where we're at. So that's, when these things happen for communities, I think it's partly because they're engaging with us, and that's really nice. So, is that good? All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
going to sit and
Thank you.
listen to a couple
Thank you, Rick. Okay, next on the agenda is Steve Nelson from Minnewaska Lake Association regarding AED at the city beach.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thanks for having me. The MLA has approved and is proposing to provide for the Starbuck Beach an AED device. It would be a turnkey installation, including electrical, mounting to the wall, all ready to go. We picked a location and it can be discussed, but the north face of the picnic shelter, just north of the beach, there's already some electrical there. Could be mounted right on the wall there, would not require a concrete pad. Sorry, did you have a question? I think Tiffany should have a handout for you that I brought by today, which gives a lot more detail. But it's about a $7,500 to $8,000 investment that we're happy to provide for the benefit and safety of the community. This product is represented by Linda Hoffman, a local resident. She would provide all sales, service, and support for it. A little bit about the equipment. It's a weatherproof enclosure, heated, security camera. So if it does get opened up under any circumstances, pictures are taken and also a notification to first responders and the police department. What we would ask is that the city commit to the annual maintenance fee, which is $600, and in that fee includes group training, full monitoring, maintenance, and documentation by the providing company, and basically takes all the liability out of the hands of the city. They take that whole process on. Just as an aside, we're also proposing the same to Glenwood for their beach, and separate from us, the city of Long Beach has 3 of these in place. I think they've been in place for at least 1 season at the golf course, Captain's, and Morning Glory Gardens. So they would have some feedback if there's any questions about actual installations. But that's our proposal, and thank you. Do you have any questions?
Steve, I have a question.
Yeah.
So it's an annual fee of $600 for the maintenance on it. Will this person that comes around and does that notify us if it needs a new battery? And then would we be responsible for the battery?
I believe that includes battery changes, but I can check with Linda on that. I'm not sure about that exact detail, but I think that includes batteries as needed.
Cool. So are we looking for a motion to approve this, or?
Yes.
What we would propose is, it'd be nice to have this, and if you agree, have it installed by spring for the summer season. I mean, it can be used year-round. Whenever you're ready to make a motion and a decision, we'll get the process started. So it's not a rush to do it tonight, it's up to you.
So the total would be $6,850, is that correct?
That they would be donating?
Yeah, that's the basic unit.
Okay,
We would pick up the electrical costs and whatever mounting costs are required. So that whole thing would be a turnkey deal, turned over to the city, ready to go. You'd have to sign up a maintenance contract and do the training and initiate the process.
how soon do you think this could, if we made a motion tonight, how soon do you think it could happen?
I'll check with Linda. I don't know the exact lead time. I think it's less than 60 days.
Okay.
So presumably it could be turned around complete in 90 days, but again, I would like to check with Linda on that.
Well, I guess I'd like to thank you guys for making this proposal, and I'd like to make a motion that we accept your proposal as presented.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Gorder to accept the proposal and the $600 annual fee, maintenance fee, and seconded by Councilman Tafe. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So
Yes, thank you.
we thank
Thank
you
you.
and we
We're-
appreciate it very much. And
It was unanimous among our board. It's been in the works for a couple of years, and we're really happy to do that and be a part of it.
I understand that this increases the survival rate from, like 5% to 80% if there's an AED present or available.
All right, we'll get it started. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Steve.
Steve, is this the one? Okay, I'm just so glad, I'm sure you got information on it. Perfect, all right, very cool.
It's later in,
No, it's not on there later, I thought we'd do it here. Or whenever you want.
okay. Is it?
Can I ask a question? Can you get those, do you see like on page 3, the right turn lane? Is that something, do you have to go to MinDOT to get that where it says AED this way?
Oh, I guess it isn't back there, is it? Okay.
Sorry, Chris, I didn't quite understand.
I'm just curious, like here they have a sign on page 3, it says, right turn lane, but underneath it, they have, it has a picture, cardiac, restart, AED, and then there's a little, arrow to it. Is that something that comes with it, that you can do, or?
I think we could provide some basic signage like that, maybe on the parking lot side of the building, so it could be identified where it is.
It would be on the parking lot side of the building, right? The north side of that building?
Yeah, the parking lot is kind of north and to the west, so.
So,
But it would be tucked on the north side. We could put one on the west, or, the north side. We could put one on the west side that would make it more visible, or maybe the east side too, facing the beach.
Steve, I think the parking lot would be on the north side. At the beach, yeah.
So it's in the very corner of that parking lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, we could provide a couple of directional signs on the building. We have somebody with that capability.
Cool, thank you.
Uh,
Mayor, is that something you'd like?
I guess,
Like us to propose, or, like us to show you a picture of what signage would be recommended?
Yeah, I think it would be good to have some signs to let people know that it's there, either by the highway or by the parking lot. I guess it'd have to be off the right of way unless we get MinDOT approval, so.
And so, we'd be happy to do a couple of basic signs on the building. I don't know that we have the capability to do a larger sign, out by the road or something like that, and you'd be willing to take that on.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, thank you, Steve. I thought this was later on the agenda that we were gonna discuss the right-of-way for the locker plant, but it is not on the agenda later, so let's deal with it now, and, I'll entertain a motion to.
I'll make a motion, I'll make a motion that we, vacate the dedicated, right-of-way on Block 59 between 117 East Fifth Street and East Depot Lane, for construction of the Starbuck Locker Plant.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to vacate the dedicated right-of-way on Block 59 between 117th East Fifth Street and East Depot Lane for construction of the Starbuck Locker Plant. Seconded by Councilman Tafe. Is there any discussion or questions or? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next on the agenda, we have Chris Garacki, who wants to discuss the long-range city park plan proposal. And she is running for council, so.
This has been on, and Tiffany can attest to it for the last 3 years.
ever since I did a project on it for school. So my name is Chris Gracky. I came a couple of years ago expressing wanting swings or other different kind of playground for the playground. And in that time, we have one special needs swing, which is a great start. However, I would like to see that idea expand. There's a proposal before you, and it's more comprehensive, as you can see. And in particular, because you have pretty much taken care of deciding to go forward with the pickleball courts already, or multi-use courts, or whatever your decision is on that. The other two initiatives actually are, one, implementing more meat and potatoes and Roger's idea of the adoptive shelter, but the other would be to work on more ADA compliant park, and that would include paths for anyone who needs walking assistance. Walking, paths instead of just the actual ground. Looking at playground that would be more inclusive for all children. Some children just want to be apart but not with kids. So they have parks that are designed that you can play over here. A person might think they're playing by themselves, but in their mind they're actually playing with the other kids. But they just need that distance. And so out of all of that, again, the pickleball, multi-use court, you've already started to move on. I'm looking for direction. I know there is a park committee. I don't know if that could work on something like this. I've gone to the Chamber of Commerce with this and a different idea. A very mini idea like the Detroit Lakes Trolls. And trying to work collaboratively to get it all working under the umbrella of just increasing either people to come to Starbucks or just living here and enjoying what we have. But I think a park is really a thing that needs to be addressed. The little park is still wonky. It's not set straight yet. Maybe it can't be set straight. The little kids and the big kids are two separate areas. It doesn't work if you have a toddler and a 6-year-old. As a parent, there's just a lot of things I think we could do to make our park friendly for everyone, whether it's even picnic benches that have the cutout if someone is wheelchair bound, that they can be included. So that's what and I'm not quite sure how to go about doing it. There are ADA grants, there are playground grants, there are many grants. It would take not 1 year, but probably 5 years, but to get a group together, to plan what is it we want, to talk to occupational therapists and children that live in our area. What's the best, what would you like to see? And then scope it out that in 5 years, this is what our park could look like. So I have come to you looking for direction, where we can begin. I can't just go willy-nilly writing grants and putting my name down. That doesn't work that way. So.
Well, I would agree that $3,000 a year to a park budget is probably not enough. And I see your timeline as 1 to 3 years is $100,000, 2 to 3, another 100, and 4 to 5, 100. Is that correct?
Possibly, those are just, to throw out. Maybe it'll take 5 years. I guess it depends on grants.
Sure.
If they're matching grants or they're regular grants, all of that would be dependent. Yeah, I do think the budget could be raised a little bit in the park. I think perhaps the golf cart fee, you have some additional fees that have just come in that goes into the general fund that never really have been, that maybe that would be something to also tap. But also looking just for community support, community help, community fundraisers, those types of things. Corporate sponsors, Little Tykes, I keep getting a lot of stuff from Little Tykes on things. Christopher Reeves has a huge foundation that gives out money for playgrounds, and he, remember thrown from the horse, the spinal injury that he suffered. So there are things out there. I just need and would like direction, whether it could be a part of your park committee. I don't know. You're the experts. What do you think?
So you'd be interested in just joining the park committee and helping the park committee that we currently have move forward?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
or have a, get other, I have a friend who's an occupational therapist, very interested in helping out. There's other people in the town that are very interested in helping out, being part of this committee. I think children should be part of the committee. Parents should be part of the committee. What do you want? Now help us get there. Without always going to our local businesses saying, well, gee, we just did that great meat raffle. How sweet is that?
There's many things you can do, and other fundraisers down at the park.
Yep. Yeah, the man that was here that was hoping to do that muscle competition, he had great ideas of what we could do with our park and, use that for some fundraisers and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea. I think any type of involvement in getting more people thinking and planning and, like you said, searching out these grants, I think it's a great idea. There's always improvements that can be made, and we just need the money and the ideas to do it, so.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, we need the volunteers, for sure.
I think I could round you up some volunteers. I really do. I just, a little sense of urgency. It is October, and a lot of these grants start opening up in December and January.
So I think, to get going on it, and then get Chris and the park committee, we need to develop you got some buddies that'll help. You gotta have somebody in charge, so somebody, everybody's gotta brainstorm.
Yep.
And then 2 weeks later, they're tired, then where does it sit? So I think it has to be designated group that in a charge, like you're ahead of this and so, and then bring it back to the council and the ideas and how many people you got lined up, and I like the idea for little guys and special needs, I'm big on that, so.
I do too, it's just that we gotta get the ball rolling.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, in my brain for 3-4 years since I've done
Yeah,
a
you've got a
huge
lot of the
research
planning
and
already
just takes
in
months.
mind.
Excuse me?
You have a lot of the planning already in mind, so. you
Well, I
just
have the
kinda-
research of why we should have it. That's what was my project.
And you've looked into grants, it
Yes,
sounds
the
like.
grant-
So
yes,
you-
the
you
grants,
kinda
that's
know
part of it.
where some of the stuff is,
Yes.
so you just kinda need permission to join the committee, and then you can. help
And
get the ball
permission to
rolling.
put, I suppose, would it be the city down for the recipient of the grants?
I would imagine that's how it would need to work.
I mean, if Tiffany or Joan would have, have the authority to sign it, I would do the legwork on it or whatever, but,
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
I'll-
something.
I'll make the motion to move forward with, expanding the park, committee and letting Chris Garacki kinda take charge and move forward with this project.
I'll second.
well, thank you. Do I get a hold of Dane, that is he now the grand poobah on the park thing? Is it the first person that's on that list?
Yeah, we can get you the names of everyone, if
Oh,
you don't.
it's
have
on the,
them
it's on the
all.
webpage.
Yeah.
And we do something annually, don't we, to update the committees and so forth?
In
Right,
January.
In January, yeah.
So, yeah.
But I should be getting a hold of Dane then, correct?
Yeah.
On it, okay, very good. Well, thank you very much. I'm
Yes,
very
thank you.
excited. I'm glad you guys are supportive of it. Thanks.
So we have a motion by
Chris?
Chris Tate.
Yep. I'm not sure.
Councilman Tafe made the motion to move forward with this park improvement plan and have Chris Garacki on the park board committee, and seconded by Councilman Gorder.
Yep.
And any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is Bruce Ryland. And I don't believe he's here, so we will move on to my house for a lighthouse update. We're lucky enough to have the Meyer family come forward and rebuild the lighthouse that their grandfather and great-grandfather, Harold Meyer, constructed originally in, I believe, 1982. And so they did all the planning and the construction work, and the city paid for the materials. And so we had insurance money and FEMA money and donations and so forth that hopefully will cover it. We still got a little work to do to get a path, and we got to clean it up and get the wood chips out and so forth, and work with the DNR and the city, or the county land and resource management and the state regarding the wetland preservation and so forth. So there's still work to be done that'll probably, hopefully, get done next year to spruce it up a little. And so anyway, it is up, it is completed, the light is on. We're gonna see how it performs and so forth. So, but we have a City of Starbuck proclamation that we would like to pass. And do we need a motion on this, or?
I'll make a motion that we,
So let me just read the proclamation. It says,
Yep.
whereas the original Starbuck Lighthouse was built in 1982 by Harold Meyer and stood proudly on the north side of Starbuck Marina on Lake Minnewaska. And whereas the lighthouse was destroyed by a storm on May 12th, 2022. And whereas the lighthouse was a city landmark and served as a navigational beacon, safely lighting the way to the marina, the city and its residents wanted the lighthouse replaced. And whereas the city received many generous donations of time and money towards the replacement of the lighthouse, and whereas the descendants of Harold Meyer, Dennis Lawson, Jim Moffett, and Jeff Moffett, along with their families, graciously volunteered to rebuild the lighthouse. And whereas the Starbuck Lighthouse holds a special value to them as their grandfather and great-grandfather built the original lighthouse. And whereas the new lighthouse was erected on the south side of the Starbuck Marina on Friday, September 20th, 2024. And whereas the city of Starbuck recognizes and appreciates the leadership, vision, and dedication that led to the successful implementation of this project. Now, therefore, I, Gary Swanson, Mayor of the City of Starbuck, do hereby proclaim that Harold Meyer's family be commended for their initiative in bringing this worthy community improvement project to fruition. And given under my hand and seal of office this 15th day of October 2024. So, yeah, I'll entertain a motion to have that proclamation given to the Meyer family.
I'll make a motion that we approve the City of Starbuck proclamation recognizing the Harold Meyer family for their gifts and donations towards the reclamation of the Starbuck Lighthouse.
And I'll second that.
Did you second it? No. We have a motion by Councilman Gorder to approve the City of Starbuck proclamation for the building of the lighthouse by the Meyer family, and seconded by Councilman Tafe. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I just wanted to give a little update on some of the development projects that we're looking at. We're gonna be working on some single-family housing and up in the old trailer park in the northwest part of town. Probably up to 17 more units up there. And as soon as we get agreement with Verizon on the new cell tower that they're supposed to put up at the, behind the old high school, we can move forward with the housing development on the old football field at the old high school. And we have contractors that are interested in doing that and so forth, so that's a couple of the biggest problems at Starbuck is housing and childcare, and hopefully we can move forward on that. So I've been in touch with the school district and the contractors and HRA, EDA, and so I think we're pretty much ready to go. So, Police Department monthly report, I don't know if we have any questions or discussion on that. Do we,
Gary, I have a question. Have we approved Mitch covering for Amber Wozlowski due to her pregnancy?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Do we need to approve, Mitch Johnjud has, I believe he's, in our packet has said that he will cover for, Amber Wozlowski while she's out for maternity leave. Have we discussed that and approved it yet, or? I think that's,
I haven't had a chance to talk to Mitch about this, and I don't know, I'd like to do that before we
Sure.
make a decision on that. Whether take a special meeting or whatever, I don't know.
so I'd make a motion that we table that until the mayor and, Chris Tave have a chance to meet with.
Okay. Did you second it?
I second that.
Okay. So I have a motion by Councilman Gorder to table the Police Department request to put Chief of Police Johnson on hourly pay to cover for Officer Wozlowski, who will be on maternity leave and until March, and seconded by Councilwoman Baukel. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the Fire Department. I don't see Doug Noyes or anybody here, so they were on the agenda for a purchase of a skid unit from Great Plains Fire, so we'll have to address that later. Water and Sewer Department, we have Superintendent Randy Peterson here, so.
Hello. I do have quotes for possibly purchasing a new payloader. We did demo a Case, a Cat, and a John Deere. We liked all of them. They're all very nice machines. Each one has something you like a little better than the next one, I guess, but me and Mike both kind of agreed that we both preferred the Case. We'd like to go with the XT version, which has on the bucket dump, it's got the cylinder on each arm rather than the one big one down the middle. It makes it a lot easier to see your forks especially. With the Z bar like we have now, it gets tough to see where your forks are for loading brush and that kind of stuff. It's a little bit of an addition for the XT, but we feel it's probably well worth it. The quote for that, we also decided that we could keep our snowplow that we have, so that we won't be purchasing a new one of them. They would just end up picking up our payloader and plow. They would take some parts off our payloader, and then we would get that back. With the new one, then they would transfer our plow over to make it work with the new one and build it on it. It sounds like it would probably take a month or so to build where we wouldn't have a snowplow. So I'm guessing that if we move forward with it, it would probably be something that would be done in the springtime when we're done with snow removal. So we'll use this, our current loader, through the winter. And it also depends on availability of the XT. The XT versions are kind of rare. The only one that makes it is Case. Cat and John Deere do not offer that anymore. And they don't have a whole lot of them on hand too, so they'll have to either have one built from the factory or check around and see if there's another dealer that's got one with everything that we ordered that they can swap with.
So Randy, I have a question, with them, taking our machine, to transfer the plow parts and whatever, would we have something to use in the meantime?
It sounded like we'd be without one for about a week or so. So
Okay.
they would pick ours up and take it to, I guess I'm not sure which shop they'd take it to.
Sure.
Take the parts off that they need, and then we would get the loader back. But it wouldn't be able to plow snow after that until we got the new one and they got everything swapped
Sure.
over. There was different style hydraulic ends in that they were talking about for the plow hookup that sounded a lot nicer in the cold. They
Oh,
don't
yeah.
freeze up and
Yeah.
they're not individual ones and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, so.
So is the 154,010, that's the price?
That is the case, yep, the
Okay.
XT.
Yep.
And that's, keeping our plow and having it,
Yep.
set up pretty
But-
much exactly like ours.
Because our plow is still in pretty good shape, right?
Yep, yeah, it's in very good shape.
Okay. Joan, and we kind of have money in the budget for a first payment?
We did
Okay.
budget for the first payment.
All right, I personally think we need to move forward with this because I was on the council back when our case, loader, blew a hole in the block, which made it virtually, worthless. And we were in, a bit of a bind trying to take care of, stuff in the meantime, so, I think that we really should move forward with this while our current, machine has good value.
Yes.
And, so I would make a motion that we approve this proposal and go with the, Titan Machinery bid, for the Case XT, at $154,010.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
And we do have financing set up through them. It was a lease to buy option.
Yep.
So it's a 6-year lease at the $30,000,
Yep.
$160 a year.
And that's,
And then,
that's what we did last time,
yep,
too.
and at the end of the 6 years, you buy it from them for $1, so,
Thank you, Randy.
And
thank you.
our current payloader still has some pretty good value. and-
Yeah, they're giving us 81,000 for it.
Yeah.
So it's a good time. It's still worth money so that,
I think the last time we traded, it wasn't worth so much money.
yeah, I don't think so.
So this is a good move, I honestly think it is.
Okay, thank you. Lowry Manufacturing also contacted me. They'd like to start building our dock frames for next year. This is kind of their slower time so that they've got time to get them built and run them through. I guess I would just like approval to, have them go ahead and get our frames going for next year so they're ready. I apologize, I forgot to print out an invoice.
Got
Is
the
it-
quote and
is-
the-
Or the quote,
I've got that.
Yeah, she's.
okay, perfect.
I'll make the motion to approve moving forward with getting the new marine docks made for 2025.
And I'll second.
Okay. So we have two motions on the floor.
Sorry.
We have a motion by Councilman Gorder to approve the purchase of a Case XT on a 6-year lease, and seconded by Councilman Tafe. And any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next motion on the floor is a motion to proceed with the purchase from Lowry Manufacturing of new frames for the docks at the marina. We have a motion by Councilman Tafe and seconded by Councilman Gorder. And any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Anything else, Randy, or,
I guess that's all I have.
okay,
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
well, thank you. We'll move on to the city clerk treasurer, and Joan, take it over. So,
Okay, first of all, just to remind everyone, Election Day, November 5th, will be here in the community center. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So just a reminder, we'll be busy that day. Also, on Thursday, October 24th, Tiffany and I are signed up for training, and Mitch is also signed up for, Charlene, for training for the police department on the same day. So we would like to close the office so we can all get to our training on Thursday, the 24th. We'll put it on the website and the door and try to notify people every way we can, so just kind of to let you know. And our next regular council meeting would be normally on November 11th, that Monday, but that's Veterans Day, so we're closed. So our next council meeting will be on Tuesday, November 12th. So another Tuesday meeting. And finally, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at them yet or not, but I included the third quarter budget reports for you to take a look at. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Everything's looking pretty good. The revenue for water and sewers at 74% through the third quarter, which is good. Hobo Park, the marina looked good. Hobo Park is down just a little bit from last year, but we'll still be getting some more money in by the end of the year on that.
Nothing really standing out to you?
No, everything's looking good. I tried to put some little explanations on there so you can kind of see what makes up amounts, but feel free to come ask if you have any questions. And that's what I have.
All right, thank you.
any questions or discussion? Okay. Next item on the agenda, let's see, we have planning and zoning. Did you have anything to say, Cody?
I don't have anything to say. Were you all gonna review the, proposed cannabis ordinance?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to the airport committee. Tom Bukins isn't here. That was the other thing I was gonna mention as far as developments. The airport, committee is, reorganized and has new members, and, so they're looking at the possibility of building one or two more hangars at the airport and so forth, so, hopefully that'll happen soon, so. bring more air traffic into Starbucks, so. Let's see, streets and parks, nothing, community center, nothing. Old business, discuss the AED proposal for City Beach, and I think we've done that. Steve's given us an update, and we approved it, and so forth, so.
Mayor, could I just clarify that it does say in the literature, batteries and pads are all, inclusive in that $600 maintenance agreement per year?
It is included?
Yeah, it does say that in the literature that everybody has.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it also includes 2 directional signs, so we can coordinate with you where those are wanted.
sure, okay. Okay. Next on the agenda is the Blue Cross Blue Shield Fitness Court Grant. And,
This is a grant that Tiffany had looked into, for possible funding of the pickleball tennis court. And, there's some information attached there. And while it had some good points, it didn't fund, any of a pickleball or tennis court, unfortunately. And would require a city funding of $130,000, and it would have to be a fitness court made to their specs. So might not be what we're looking for right now, but it's one we know about, and if it's ever in our plans, we could contact them again.
okay,
Did you have anything else on that, Tiffany?
No, other than, they did mention that, realistically, if we didn't foresee it, something that we wanted to tie into the park for next year, we could always consider it for future years to come. I anticipate they'll have it kind of open for the next 2 or 3 years. That's all I really comment.
okay.
Other than what's, laid out in this nice, PowerPoint presentation packet.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to new business, and first item on new business is to approve sending past due utilities to the tax rolls at 7% interest. That's something that we do every year.
We do yearly.
I'll make the motion to approve sending past due utilities to the tax rolls at 7% interest.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Tafe to approve sending past due utilities to the tax rolls at 7% interest, seconded by Councilman Gorder. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next item is to approve Resolution 2024-24 to accept a donation from Diecast Specialties for the 2024 National Night Out.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-24, accepting the donation from Diecast Specialties for the 2024 National Night Out, and I would like to express our city council's appreciation for that.
I'll second that, or,
I didn't hear
I
the
didn't
last
know,
part of it.
did you second that, or if, okay, I'll second that.
I said I'd like to express the city's, or the city council's appreciation.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a motion by Councilman Gorder to approve Resolution 2024, accepting a donation from Diecast Specialties for the 2024 National Night Out, seconded by Councilman Tafe. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Approve resolution, next item is to approve Resolution 2024-25, accepting a donation from Knutson Concessions for the 2024 National Night Out.
I'll approve, the resolution 2024-25 for the acceptance of the donation of $50 from Knutson Concessions.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Tafe to approve Resolution 2024-25, accepting a $25 donation from Knutson Concessions for 2024 National Night Out, seconded by Councilwoman Gorder, or Balko, excuse me. Any further discussion or questions? I'm sorry, it's a $50 donation from Knudsen Concessions, so. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is to approve a purchase of a new Canon printer for the city office, and I know, Joan, if you had anything you wanted to say about that, or?
Just basically that our current printer we have in there is 9 years old now, so we've gotten some good use out of it, and we're not able to get replacement parts or get it repaired anymore. So, we got a bid through the state contract here for a Canon, for that 3,027.74. And it's something that we would just pay outright. We've got it in the capital improvement budget. Also, along with that, we get the maintenance, they'll give us our supplies, that kind of thing, do repairs. But there's a per copy cost on here, for both black and white and color, which is like considerably lower than what we pay currently, so we'll be saving about $30 to $40 a month with this contract over what we have now, so it's a pretty good deal.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the new Canon printer for the city office, as Joan has explained to us.
I'll second. Oh, Mary can have that.
Who is first?
Mary?
We have a motion by Council McGorder to approve the purchase of a new Canon printer for the city office, seconded by Councilwoman Baukel and Councilman Tave. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Approve Resolution 2024-26, accepting a donation from Patricia and George Schmidt towards the Starbuck Lighthouse, or Starbuck Marina Lighthouse Fund.
I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2024-26, accepting the donation from Patricia and George Schmidt towards the Starbuck Marina Lighthouse Fund.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Council McGorder to approve Resolution 2024-26, accepting a donation from Patricia and George Schmidt towards Starbuck Marina Lighthouse Fund, seconded by Councilman Tafe. Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is to approve election judges for the general election on November 5th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the election judges for the general election on November 5th, 2024.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Tafe to approve election judges for the general election on November 5th, 2024, seconded by Councilwoman Baukel. Any questions or just further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Last item on the agenda is to discuss the proposed cannabis ordinance, and so I don't know if anybody has any discussion on that.
This has been approved by the Planning and Zoning.
Did you want me to maybe give us an option of what we discussed or changed on it from what was handed down based on the state template?
Yeah, that would be great.
Should I go up there so you can hear me? Let's see that too.
Yeah.
Can I see that?
Oh, yeah, you may.
Hello and good evening. My name is Cody Blevins. I'm on the Planning and Zoning Commission, or Commissioner on Planning and Zoning. We were handed last month this cannabis model ordinance, I believe from the Starbucks Sheriff's Department or police station. I wasn't attached to the original email, but this is a sort of a model template that is state recommended, has been handed down to us. We read through it line by line at the October Planning and Zoning meeting, and decided, as you read through it, essentially to kind of strip out a lot of the optional provisions, any optional provision that delegated any of the, authority, what do you want to call it? Delegating authority, anything that delegated the authority back to the county. We struck from that record to keep all authorship of this ordinance, and permitting process within the city. And that's largely anything we changed. I'm gonna read through it to make sure there's nothing else here. We reduced, some of the limits, like setbacks and away from certain, occupations to match the tobacco ordinance that's in town. Yeah, so you can see those on page, these aren't numbered. In section 3, we struck down a lot of those, requirements from, 1,000, 300 feet of a school, 500s down to 300s. Again, striking, and then striking its distance from another cannabis business. We did delegate a zoning district under, zoning and land use under section 3. We designated specific, districts for each, cannabis manufacturer, wholesale, retail, business. Limited the hours to, the same time, as bar time. And I feel like there was, one other thing that we changed in here.
It says
It would have been, I think, we decided not to limit the amount of licenses to any set number of businesses. So, you call it unlimited if you want, but any cannabis-related business in any of these districts that were to come through and propose a business would have to get, permit and approval from the city council. But we did not set a predetermined number of those licenses, so that would be up to you all.
I thought that was determined by the state.
It
It-
is a minimum amount
Oh,
is
okay.
determined by the state.
And then the county could supersede that rule and basically whatever they say for those numbers, and really businesses that are allowed, they could supersede that and would kind of negate what we have locally.
I think we're still waiting for the county to make a decision on their ordinance and so forth, so.
Yeah, largely everything we
So-
discussed was really just to keep that authorship, here within the city, for you all as a city council, so that you would have kind of final say of any of the businesses that operate within the city limits.
Looks to me like you guys have done a good job in going through this, and I'd make a motion that we approve the proposed cannabis ordinance.
Well, I'm
Huh?
not. I'm not. Gonna approve it.
What?
I thought we were gonna wait for Glenwood and some of those to get it. This
I,
ordinance.
Okay.
just to bring up, I did talk to, Kirsten Katmeyer at the county, last week, and he said that nothing is passed over there yet,
Oh.
but, he is planning on having the ordinance by the first of the year that says that if the city wants the county to handle the registration, they will do that. Kind of like our tobacco ordinance, it will be done through public health. So just, that's the county update. Nothing has happened yet, but,
But Cody, what you're saying is that you're leaving this up to the city and the county, or just the city?
So we only have authorization to write the ordinance that's in effect for the city, right? So any business that comes in and wants to operate within the city limits would have to, in layman's terms, run through you all to get that business permit and then to get their registration renewed each year and pay that fee. All of that would come to the city right now. If the county, on their own, regardless of what the city of Starbuck does here, if the county puts in their ordinances that only one cannabis business is going to be allowed within the county of Pope, right? Then they would supersede our unlimited number of available cannabis businesses. We would only be able to have that one. If that one cannabis business were established in Long Beach or were established in Glenwood, it would not be available to the city of Starbuck. So the way that planning and zoning approached this was that we should retain as much authorship as we can so that outside of city, outside of the county, the city is in control of it. If the county at a later date or before this decides whatever they want, that does affect us, but we don't have anything to say with that. So the important part of why we decided to structure it this way and why we're proposing it now is because each county jurisdiction, each administration throughout all communities in Minnesota must adopt an ordinance by January 1st of '25. If you don't adopt an ordinance prior to that January 1st of '25, it becomes much more difficult to regulate cannabis business within your community. So if we don't regulate it, any number of businesses may potentially be able to come in any district they want, irregardless of offsets from schools, public areas, anything like that, unless the county does limit that and restrict that. So right now, the county has not done that, and if they drag their feet past January, then we have no control over any cannabis business that's in the city.
The county did say that, our zoning regulations would, override anything they say, so it's very important that we do those zoning regulations, no matter what.
Right.
So,
So-
we'll definitely.
So what's wrong with approving this?
I think mostly, we don't know, I guess the biggest things to me are, do we want the county to be the registering agent, or do we wanna keep that within the city? And do we wanna allow a certain number of retailers in the city, or do we want it unlimited? That would be
Yeah.
what I see as the big question,
Yeah.
so.
The other question I have is it talks about cultivation, manufacturing, hemp manufacturing, wholesale, retail, transportation, delivery. Is there any talk of limits on that type of thing, or?
Well, the nice part is that you all have the authority to say that at any time, right? So if I'm a cultivator, if I'm any one of these cannabis-related businesses, I have to get city council approval. I had to get permitted through the city council. It's all conditional use. None of it is just by the books allowed, right? So you have to come to get a permit. So while there's no quantity limitation, if somebody comes and they say, hey, I'm the first cannabis retail business in town, and you guys are all hip on that, okay, they're good. If somebody else comes and they're the same kind of retail and you don't think that's appropriate for the town, you could say no. If somebody comes and says, I'm gonna open up an indoor greenhouse, I'm gonna cultivate X, number of plants, and I'm gonna use it for this type, that's great. You can approve or deny that based on what you feel. Because we're not setting a limit quantity on it, doesn't mean that unlimited businesses can come through here and, turn into whatever they want. It's just up to the city council to determine how those businesses fit best within the city limits, I suppose.
And I guess I would ask Joan, if we don't say anything about a limit, or if it's unlimited, could somebody come back and say, well, why are you
Well,
not granting me a license?
Yeah, I
you know?
think the key to that is making everything a conditional use, and that's something that I just have to run by the attorney again and make sure that's okay. But yeah, I think you would have to do that, or else, like you said, I feel that that could be an argument.
So I would just add, because you mentioned Attorney Joan, I felt myself and the city, planning and zoning felt it was important to keep that authority within the city limits, to allow the city at a later date, if you all felt it was something you wanted to adopt or talk about, would be to get an attorney to draft like a specialized percentage sales tax on cannabis products alone. And then that additional revenue would all go to the city and could be put towards whatever fund the city felt was necessary.
Yeah.
And that's additional revenue that we would be leaving on the table if we didn't address it or we passed it off to the county.
I do like the idea of keeping the control here.
I do too.
Because we can see what the businesses are, and if they're not complying the way that we feel they should be, we cannot grant them the permit the following year.
Not only that, but we have the ability to set the tax rate on it, and that money generates back to the city,
Correct.
so. I think, huh?
Yeah, well, it's something to
Yeah,
look at, and we are gonna kind of clean up based on our discussion, the ordinance, and then it'll run back through planning and zoning and
When-
back here for approval.
When you guys were going through it, I know you have it as not, there's no limit. Was there a reason why there wasn't, like, cause like with liquor stores, there's a limit. how many
Yeah,
you
I
can
guess what was put in there, I think, was like one, was kind of their model. And if you started, we felt that if you started to quantify it, you'd be pretty limiting to the scope of cannabis businesses that are out there. So when you think about cultivation, somebody could have a cannabis, indoor growery, and then 100% of that is maybe towards insulation for inside of house walls, and you would never know the difference. Or maybe somebody is also going to open up, that same style of shop, but they're growing hemp for quilting, or actually to be smoked and to be sold to medicinal facilities. I mean, there's so many different ways in which you could grow it. It's not just all for consumption, like human consumption. Another thing is the different so that's more so, if I go back to my section 3, like that's kind of talking about our hemp manufacturer, our cannabis transportation, delivery, manufacturing, and a little bit of the wholesale. And there's lots of different ways you can talk about wholesale and cannabis retail, and a lot of it is kind of that same discussion where what's really obvious is the human consumption part of it. I'm gonna go to a cannabis shop, I'm gonna go to a dispensary and get, smokable or human consumable products. Another side of that, which is like the business, who's coming in next to Dreamwoods, is gonna do tinctures and salves, lotions and what have you. So like, medicinal purpose, that's like topical. And that's a portion of her business, but not all of her business. Because it's a portion, she needs a permit. So if another boutique wants to come in and also offer that sort of topical side business or what have you, we wouldn't want to say, well, we've already got a business here, you can't do that. So it just really, at this point, because it's so new kind of to everybody in Minnesota.
There's so many different options.
Yeah,
for each
and
route.
so legally, like if you wanna look at this whole document, I think that it's pretty safeguarded in the way that nobody is gonna be able to come in under your nose. Everything gets permitted through the city council in that way. It's just you're not quantifying it, outright in the document. I don't think it would be a bad inclusion, if you were to maybe make a quantity based off of a percentage and you math that out somehow, you kind of figure out what that is to get it in a threshold that you feel is adequate for the city. I think that's reasonable. So you could say like, for each one of these, no more than one business per, 800 residents in the city. So you could have no more than 2 of each of these if you broke it out like that. So, something similar to that.
So if we don't act on this and we wait for the county to come back with something, we could fall at risk under the county then.
Yeah, I guess if I were to advise a path forward, it would be that the city council makes their notes on this, returns it to planning and zoning prior to our November meeting. We could redraft it in November, and then at the December meeting, you would review it again, and at that point, hopefully adopt it. If it wasn't approved at that point, I would recommend a special meeting sometime before that January 1st to review it a third time.
It needs to be published for 30 days before it's actually in effect, so.
So I'll rescind the
Before
motion
January
I made.
1st.
Yep, so we would need to pretty
Have it by
much
the end of
have it,
November,
yeah.
so.
So we-
I'll rescind my motion that I put forth then, to allow us time to go through it. Thank you, Cody.
Absolutely,
Yes,
yeah,
thank
thanks
you.
for letting me come up.
Okay. So,
Just heard from Doug Moyes, he's on 110, so I was hoping to be back to his item after this. Yes,
Oh,
if you could, I didn't know.
yeah.
what was that?
Well, Doug is trying to get here, but he's not here yet,
Oh,
so,
We're done, aren't
oh, thank
we? We're done?
unless we wait for Doug, but,
I don't think he's able to attend. He can't get
Oh,
out of the
he's
field.
still-
He can't get out of the field, I guess.
Oh.
But
but you're saying he still wants to
he
talk
asked
about
if
the
they- if
skid
you could
loader?
Consider his item about the skid unit.
Oh, okay, we can talk about that.
They have it
So-
all printed out.
where are we on this cannabis? Do we have a motion on the floor?
Wait, yeah,
He rescinded.
rescinded his
Yeah,
motion?
to go, to be able to review the,
Okay. So we're gonna
We're going to
look
put
at it.
together,
put together.
yeah,
Some
clean up
edits,
the
yeah.
ordinance and run
Maybe
it
get
back
it to
through planning and zoning and
November.
then, council.
Yeah.
Does it have to be a public hearing as well?
Not another one.
Okay. Because that, they covered that right that one time that morning. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
So Doug requested that we look at his request for the skid, which,
Randy, do you know anything about this?
A little bit, if I could take a look at it.
Yep.
yeah,
At our meeting, I know they demoed a couple skid units, and this will be
Here it is.
for the new grass rig that we got from the DNR.
Sure.
I believe this is the high pressure one.
I know he had talked to me about the high pressure skid is what he was hoping to get.
it's, they actually got, a $10,000 grant for it. And the Relief Association is willing to put, 13,000 towards it. And we allocated 12,000 roughly from the, safety funds that we got last year. So between those two things, that's what would pay for this, or three things, that's what would pay for the loader. So.
For the skid
The
unit.
skid unit.
The skid
Yeah,
unit.
skid, sorry. Wrong piece of equipment, the skid. So it would be paid for that way.
Well, I know
What the actual
when I was a fireman, we had a high-pressure pumper with two hose reels. And the advantage to that was you got the same effect with the water, only you used considerably less. I believe that's the,
Yes, and
The
with a grass
positive.
fire, it's kind of the
Right.
same idea as we
Yep.
use the pack blowers, it almost
Yep.
blows the fire out
Right.
also.
so I guess I know they need this thing. The one they have is very old, and there are some issues with it. So as long as we have the funding for it,
And it opens up this unit to be able to be used for other
Yeah.
incidents
right,
as well.
so I'd make a motion that we approve the apparatus for it's a 250 gallon K3 UHP skid unit with UDOR nozzle as per quotation from Great Plains Fire of $38,350.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Gorder to go ahead with the purchase of the skid unit from Great Plains Fire for $26,845, seconded by Councilman Tafe. Any,
I think it's, oh, never mind, sorry. Go ahead.
is it for the,
Steve said 38.
Yeah, the
what
38
it
is
says.
here, this is,
So,
oh, the 38? Yeah, but there's some grant money and
Yep.
right, that's
donations.
the
and-
total would be the 38?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me amend that. We have a motion from Councilman Gorder to purchase skid unit from Great Plains Fire for a total price of $38,350, seconded by Councilman Tafe. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the regular meeting.
We have a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned, so. Thank you, everybody.